There we are. So if you didn't want your face on the recording for any reason, then just hide your camera. So we are going to look at Instagram stories today. And if I need to go through at the end exactly how to even find them and start them, like to make them, if you're not even sure about that, then I can do that at the end. So I can get my phone out and we can go through that. So that's fine. So this is what we're going to try and cover in this session. We're going to look at how to boost engagement with Instagram stories. We're going to share some tools that you might want to look at that you can use, although it's quite a lot of tools within the Instagram app itself for Instagram stories. How to drive sales from Instagram stories for business. How to plan and schedule Instagram stories if you want to, so that you can plan them out a bit. And how to, most of all, use them strategically so that you're getting great feedback from them, but also for highlights, which we'll come on to at the end. So, I mean, you're both very busy in different ways. You're already juggling quite a lot. Why on earth would you want to consider adding Instagram stories to the mix of things that you need to do and create as well, especially because if you're not used to Instagram stories yet, Helen, they only actually last 24 hours. They disappear. So it's a bit like Snapchat in that sense, which is perhaps why, you know, the teenagers like it, because it disappears again. Initially, when Instagram stories launched 4 years ago, seems like they're quite a new thing, but obviously time is flying. Its initial intention was to allow people to share moments of their day, supposedly, quite easily, quickly. And then businesses obviously found ways to use them in terms of like showing perhaps a bit behind the scenes of their business. And also connect then perhaps with their audience in a more personal way. So over time, Instagram has added lots of features then to make stories more effective as a tool for business, not just, you know, behind the scenes or what I'm doing in my day. So if we take a deeper look, so that those that aren't used to stories at all at least know where they are and what they are. So when you're looking at Instagram, whenever you publish a story to Instagram, they come up with like a purple ring. So anyone that's got a story that you can watch at the top of your screen, particularly people you follow and people you engage with a lot, will come to the very top of your feed over here, and you'll be able to see that they've got a new story because they've got this kind of purpley, pinky, yellow ring around them. So that signals to you as a user or your followers that there's fresh content to check out. You've published another story. So with Instagram stories, you can share either just a photo that you may or may not want to add text and various bits and pieces over the top. And that kind of shows to the user for 7 seconds before it moves on to the next element in somebody's story or the next person, unless you click out. And videos for 15 seconds. So you can upload a photo or a video. Videos will last 15 seconds before they break off and move on to like the next element, and 7 seconds for photos. So they will disappear effectively after 24 hours from you posting, including the profile like this, including your audience's feed, and also in your messages. So if someone's messaged you or commented about the message, you can't then go back and see what, if someone's tagged you in their story and you only check it like 26 hours later, you can't see what they said. so it is really like it disappears. So unless they are added to your highlights, which we'll come on to more towards the end, how to do that and how to perhaps use those strategically. So one reason why you want to be using them if you're on Instagram is because it really does, regardless of what this Instagram feed here is doing, whether it's showing reels or it's on favorites or it's on followers or it's set to just the normal Instagram feed with adverts and so on, it really does put you at the top of people's home feeds. So it puts you front and center in front of your audience and your followers. So no kind of having to wangle the algorithm there to be seen. So it can be a quick way of getting seen and getting engagement and being top of your audience's mind, really. Once they've seen it, if you've only uploaded one a day, then you won't reappear here, they'll have seen it. But if you add another element later in the day, then you'll come back to the top of this. So you get bumped up to the front of the line again if you add new fresh content. So if you're publishing quite a few stories, then you're always going to keep coming back here. Now that can be quite a lot of work if you're not using them strategically and thinking about it. So it's thinking about then how you use it. So this is what it kind of looks like if you're using more than one in a 24-hour period. And this is why perhaps if you're using more than one in a 24-hour period, that you kind of need to start thinking about it a bit more strategically, so it's not a complete random collection of photos and videos that kind of don't relate to each other, because the whole point is they are telling some kind of story, they have some kind of theme, which work best. So I'm just going to show you Innocent Smoothies, which is quite a fun, they do the smoothie drinks that are widely available in supermarkets, but they're quite a fun social media brand. And so they quite often show a bit behind the scenes of them working in the office. So I'll just play this. This was taken a few days ago. So you can see it's like how most people take calls in our office. Well, minus Ben's confused, the rock raised eyebrow face, because they're quite a, fun company. So you can see how they've used, and up here, I don't know if you can see this, Helen, as it goes through, you can see like the breaks up here, just about at the very top, the lines, and then there's a break in between the lines, and that shows how many stories there are for you to watch. So you'll see as it goes through, and they've just done a series of photos. So Alexander takes calls, and then another picture of Xander, who's obviously been caught in the action, and then very, very, very serious work calls, obviously, and keep being you, Xander. So kind of a fun twist behind the scenes, not necessarily strategic for their business, but again, showing behind the scenes. And so you can kind of humanize yourself a little bit more if you're a team, or elements of what you're doing in your day. Now, you wouldn't want to do that every day, because that's not very strategic. It's not great for business. Doing it once in a while behind the scenes does, again, help you connect with your audience. But the point here is you kind of need to think of your stories as almost secondary exclusive content for your followers, that goes a little bit more behind the scenes of what your feed posts are. So they're a bit more fun, they're a bit more informal, and users can, as you can see, they can either like it, they can share it, or they can reply through stories via messages, direct messages. So it is a bit more personal, it is a bit more private, but it's a bit more informal as well. And so we're going to look at some of the interactive elements that Instagram have put in to help with that kind of engagement with your followers, such as polls and stickers. But also you can be quite creative with them if you want to. So you can add captions like they have, you can add overlays and even music. So they are quite different then from the traditional grid posts that you have. So they're meant to be a little bit more fun, a little bit more informal. So key thing to take away here: stories are great for engagement and boosting your engagement. So if people are interacting with you in stories, which is a lot easier to get engagement with your feed, then they're more likely to be shown in the home feed. Your posts are more likely to then get shown in the home feed more often, because you're kind of winning those engagement points, if you like, those algorithm points with Instagram. So the features that are baked into stories are ideal for businesses that want to go back and forth with followers a bit more while having a bit more fun. So the key here is knowing that they've got stickers that you can use to help with your engagement, and the more engagement you have, the more views they have, and they make it quick and easy for people to engage rather than having to write a comment, for example. So let's take a look at some of these features so we can see how to use them. So first of all, we have the poll sticker, and I'll show you where to find these if you don't know where to find them towards the end. So you can use the poll sticker to ask lots of sort of yes or no kind of answers. And the poll sticker, the difference between, because there's a question sticker as well, and they've made the poll sticker look like the question sticker, and you kind of go, well, what's the difference now? But there is a difference. The question sticker gives your users the answer straight away. So there's like a right or wrong answer, and you can choose the right or wrong answer, and they'll see which was the right answer. Whereas the poll sticker is kind of like a poll, basically, where they add their thoughts, but they don't see necessarily what everybody else has said or who's voted. You do, but they don't. They will see whether it's like an 80% or a 20% split on who's answered, but they don't necessarily get to see who's answered and what the correct answer, if you like, is, if there is a correct answer. So you can use the poll sticker for different ways, and you can share then the answers afterwards with people if you want to in future stories. But some fun things to do are kind of like a this or that. Would you rather this or that? So you can have a bit of a game. You can play like true or false, or you can do like one here. Would you rather delete all your social media accounts or be required to post every hour for 24 hours? Well, I know what I'd rather do. Oh my God. So you can come up with some fun kind of questions, but if it's products or if it's services, you can think of perhaps some things, particularly to get feedback of even that's useful for your business. So getting your audience take on things, so like, which color would you prefer, or which outfit would you wear, or which one would you buy, or which one would you give to someone, or which one is your style, or which flavor fragrance is your favorite, where would you go? So you can start to get a almost a survey like style of knowledge that helps you then even guide future decisions for your own products or services, because you get that kind of immediate feedback, if you like. But also it's very easy. You can see how it's very easy for someone to just click. They tap, and that's, and engage. They're not having to write, they're not having to write a comment or do anything particularly hard. They tap on the screen, and that's immediately then them engaging with your business. Instagram goes, oh, people are engaging with this business, I will show more of it to more people. So it's a really kind of easy win in terms of the algorithm. So if you think of a true or false game, you could have like fun facts about your product, or fun facts about your business, or even yourself, true or false type things, or even the industry. Is it true or false, this or that kind of thing? And then for, would you rather, I've got a couple of examples here. So there's different ways that you can use that, and the reason is you're wanting engagement, and engagement will help you through. So we'll look at some different examples in a minute. Now, the question sticker is more open-ended. So this is the question sticker. And so you can start a Q&A, if you like, to gather followers' thoughts, opinions, recommendations, or guesses. So for example, I put this one up not that long ago. I'm planning some free online workshops for September. What would you like me to cover? So people can literally tell me, what do they need to learn? And they can, by typing in there, they literally type whatever they want. So and it can be long-winded if they really want, but generally it will be a quick open-ended question. So you could use this in all sorts of ways. So if a poll or a question structure doesn't quite work, you need to know people's thoughts, then you can use the question sticker in this way. Obviously it's a bit more effort from your user's point of view. They've actually got to type, oh my god forbid they've got to type, rather than just tap the screen, but it can be quite useful, and you can use them at the end of stories or midway through a story, as we'll look at some examples. And so it could be more open-ended, like what's your favorite product, what color or scent should our next product be, what's your favorite thing about our service, if you could describe our service or product in only one word, what would it be? So you can kind of get some different feedback, or then you can do more open-ended things like, what do you need help with? What do you think about this design? Would you want this potential product or service? Or you can even get, what's your number one advice on this section? So you can see how you might use that, Helen, particularly for gathering, even with the council.
Well, I was just thinking, I've probably got to do a kind of a love it, hate it, I wish type survey soon, and it would be perfect for that.
Just to get some ideas, even if you do it before the survey, to get some ideas of what to put in the survey.
Yeah.
For like tick-offs.
Survey about the survey.
Yeah.
What would you like us to survey you about?
Because sometimes with it, when you think of what people would like and you're giving them boxes to tick, and then other people will tick the answer without thinking, won't they? So sometimes you just need some suggestions of what to even include in the survey to give people as options.
Well, I tend to use a very simple love it, hate it, I wish. So I ask people basically it related to the survey, 3 things they love about it, 3 things they hate, and 3 things they wish that they had.
Yeah.
And that kind of opens it up to anything really, and gives people free reign. And then you can kind of, from that, you take the temperature, and then you can whittle down the survey.
Yeah, so you can definitely use this, even if it's just to get, additional feedback, if you like.
Yes, yeah.
And so with your love it or hate it one, this next one would be quite good as well, which is the emoji slider.
Right.
So you can sort of use it as a sliding scale. So you could say,
right, okay.
And rather than because you can put any emoji here, rather than it being, a pointing to nay or yay, it could be like a heart, for example, scale. Yeah. So like, do they love it this much, or do they love it this much, type thing. So in terms of that would work quite well. So you can use this in all sorts of different ways, and depending on what text you might write above, like they've just done a simple nay or yay, but you could have like a scale of even, like you could write 1 to 10 along here, and a question, text above on a photo. So that can be really good. And then you just get a sort of a sliding scale for people to drag, which is a quick way of them indicating as well. So that's quite a useful tool as well. And then another sticker is, and this is quite a new one relatively, and I've not used this one actually yet, add yours. So you can start off, it's almost like starting a challenge or a thread or a trend, if you like. So you can create a sticker that then says, and it can be whatever you want. So this is like last photo on your camera roll, and then people add theirs, and you, like, dog is quite a common one, isn't it? But you could use it in all sorts of different ways. So like your latest view, or show me your to-do list, show me your home office, or show what you're working on right now, or what's your latest screenshot, or what's in your bag. So depending on your business or what fun you want to have, you can set off people, and that kind of, as people add theirs, it gets then added to their stories, and other people can add it, and so you get all sorts of different things being shared in that respect. So yeah, and then they respond with either a photo, a video, or a screenshot, or any media from their camera roll, and so the photo or video will then appear in their stories, so you can see how it sort of escalates, and you can see, because you started it, all the submitted content, so all the submitted stories. So it's quite and anyone can tap on the sticker to see everyone's Instagram stories. So that can be quite an interesting way of getting integration and you know, a trend within your community to see what people are doing, and just to have a bit of a nose as well about what people are doing. But if you start it, then you can see everyone, and equally anyone can tap on it at any time and see what everyone shared. So it's quite an interesting kind of fun way of perhaps using different things. I mean, lots of different ways to use it. The imagination you can carry on almost with how you might want to use it. And then this is the newest sticker, which I think people don't yet know how to use as a user, actually. So you can basically, this is the sticker here, you can basically add an emoji as a reaction sticker for them to tap. So you can literally change this to any of the emojis. So I tried it with, anybody need a list of Instagram story ideas for inspo, like put your hand up if you do. And so you can use it in different, so I tried to like, newest reaction button now in stories, tap it, so that you know what to do. But it's quite an interesting new feature that they've added in that you might want to use. It's very easy for them to tap it and just tap, and it's slightly different to the sort of built-in ones that you do have with stories, which I think there's only about 6, is there? There's a hearts one, isn't there? There's a congratulations one, there's a clap one that people can use. So if you're wanting a slightly different reaction, not always appropriate, is it, as well? Hearts and claps. So in a story, you can also share your Instagram. Oh, hang on a minute. Which one's bang? Stop that a minute. So you can actually share your feed posts to your stories to encourage more engagement. So sometimes people will watch stories and haven't actually looked at their feed, depending on how different users use them. And I think that's more common again with younger users. And sometimes if I'm time poor myself, I'll do that. And equally, sometimes it's a bit more interesting because it's a bit nosy behind the scenes, isn't it? So you're seeing what other people are sort of doing in their day. So sometimes I'll go into stories before hitting the feed. So different users use them in different ways. So sometimes you can share, you might want to share your Instagram feed post to a story to promote and encourage feed post engagement. But also, so you can just do it this way. You could literally just do it so that it is literally, you add a little GIF or something saying new, and of course they can tap on it to view the post. So she's got view post, and then you can tap on that post to learn more, because this is a good carousel, and then you get all the goodness of the carousel and also any captions underneath, and then it's directing them to your post so that they can engage there, which then of course helps with engagement on your feed post. So that's one way of doing it. But what you can also do is you can either share it later if it's already had engagement on your post, or you can add a sticker so they can react in here. So there's different ways of doing it. It depends on if you want engagement actually on the post, or whether you just want to try and win a quick win engagement on something else that makes sense within this. So if I now play this, I might have to put it back. So because you did a very short reel, you can then kind of, ideally people would be perhaps engaging on the reel, but you can indeed within stories, and some of your audience might be different, particularly if your reel hasn't been shared to your feed, because you don't have to share it to your feed and it's gone out to others, it might not show up in your home feed for people. So then you can get that kind of engagement via your stories instead. So you can add a call to action actually within the story. So there's different ways, again, of sharing your feed posts and reels and getting people to interact with them in a different way and making use of the content that you've already done, which saves time. So then we've got some ways of actually, so before I go on, Helen, have you ever done a story? Do you know where to find stories and how to?
Not really.
Okay, so I'm going to pause this for a minute and we'll go to my phone. So let me just minimize that because otherwise I won't see it. You might do actually, let's see. So if I go share screen, is my phone going to work today? Because before we get into designs and things like that, it will make more sense for me to show you where you even do this first. So let's, right. We can all see my phone, can't we?
Yeah.
Okay, so with Instagram stories, there's a couple of ways into them. Can you see the very top of the screen? You've got a plus button.
Yep.
So there you can come in, you come straight into an Instagram story here.
Right.
So when you come in, you'll get the option to do camera, and then you've got your latest camera roll, if you like. If you go camera, you've then got the option to obviously record a video, or you've got things on the side here that you can use. So if you didn't want a picture and you wanted to ask a question, have a backdrop, you've got the create screen. So I clicked on create at the very top. Can you see that now highlighted?
Yep.
And then they've kind of got some built-in features like just writing text, or they've kind of got, you can add GIFs to your background, or even some kind of questions that you can use straight in a way. So you can sort of have a play with those and see what's relevant. So like even like 2 years ago, like what's on, and you can like see all 13. So what did you post to Instagram 4 years ago, 5 years ago, all those kind of things. So might be relevant depending on, or if you're stuck for content ideas. And then we've got ask me a question. So you've got the question sticker there. There's another way into that. Countdown straight there, and questions straight there. But there's ways into that for all different things. Then you've also got the layout sticker, where you can change the grid. So you can add more than one photo if you wanted to. So if you just want to search snapshot of different things. And then you've also got hands-free video recording, so that you can record hands-free for 15 seconds. So that's in the create bit, but on all it, and also you've got effects, like if I wanted to make my hair purple, which is always the goal, then you can have some fun with effects down the bottom as well when you're taking pictures or recording that way. So let me go back to normal. But with once you've added some content, let's just add a photo for the moment, whether it's a background screen, a video, or a photo or an image that you've added to your camera roll that now you want to upload, you've got some tools at the top. Can you see there's like an A, smiley square face, and some stars? So the A is where you can add text, and it's got some different inbuilt fonts that you can scroll between that sort of best suits your business. And then all you need to do is type away. And then even with that, you've got at the very top, you've got a color wheel. So you can either pick out a color from the screen, or you can choose a color that makes sense. And then the different fonts seem to have different, so I've touched the star A at the top there, and that changes it to either background or not background. And then some of the fonts also have sort of animation devices. So if I change the font, sometimes you get, see, it's going fat and thin. Can you see? So some of the fonts have an animation device, and they're all different depending on the font. So it might depend on what you select. And then effects again, depending on what you've got a picture of, you can change like the screen to a particular thing. So you've got those features. But then where we were talking about stickers, that's the square smiley face at the very top of the screen. And so this is where all the stickers are. So if it's a particularly a story that's relevant and you want to reach a very direct local audience, you might want to add a location sticker, because that's going to obviously help you come up in more local searches, if that makes sense. So we'll obviously put where you actually are at the top of, but you can actually search for any location. So you can actually put in, like I can put in Lymington and put Lymington. It's not, but this picture isn't, but if the picture was, you know, related to something else that's to do with Lymington, for example, it would be useful to perhaps use the location sticker. And then you've got mention stickers. So you can mention someone, tag someone in your story if it's relevant, or when you're typing, you can actually include that in. So I can type hello at, and then tag someone, and that works in the same way. And then here are all your other stickers. So GIFs, which are quite useful. You can search. So like if you wanted to add a bit of sparkle, for example, to highlight something, you can do. So you can get quite creative with GIFs, and you can use more than one GIF. Don't overdo it because it starts to get a bit busy, but you can sort of add a bit of sparkle. And then these are all the stickers that we've already mentioned, and the music, and we're going to come on to the link sticker and countdown stickers. And you've got to support small business as well, which might be quite useful for you in particular, Helen. So I'm just trying to think of a small business now. So if I do Hideaway Cafe, which is here, for example, and that sticker's a bit more, do you see what I mean? It's a bit more than just a mention if you're trying to support a small business, because people can click in and see that profile and it shows the latest 3 photos. So that's really good if you're talking about a business and want to help promote them in that way. So that's where you do all of these things. And then you have the choice to either share it to just your close friends. You've also got some tools if you want to draw. I'm not very artistic, but some people are. So you do have draw tools where people can get really creative. I'm not, and it takes me longer. Jan might have more fun with it because she actually has some artistic talent, but and make patterns and things.
Own an original Jan Sherwood for 24 hours.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, some people are really creative. I'm not when it comes to stickers and things like that. And I'll show you some really creative examples. And I'm like, seriously, I do not have time for that. But yeah, in a minute. But yeah, you can see how some people might use them. So yeah, so that is kind of where all the tools are. And then to share your story, to finish it, if you like, you've got the buttons at the bottom. So you would click on your stories, which then goes out to everyone, or you can segregate it into close friends. I personally haven't used that feature. Some people do. What it means that anyone's on your close friends list will only see that story. So some people might use it, so they might have a business account and not be managing a personal account as well, for example, and just then want certain personal stories to go to certain people. Or you might have a close VIP list of clients, or you know, people who are really supportive of your business, and you might send special offers to that close friends list only, so that it's a bit more of a VIP and not everyone gets it. And I guess if you're using it that way, you let people know they're on the VIP list, a bit like a Facebook group, but you only get one. You can either do everyone or your close friends list. You can't do it in between. So you would just push that, and then that would go live for 24 hours, unless you change it. And we'll come on to how you would change it in a minute. So that's the ways in. Let's go back to perhaps some design idea help, so that you can see perhaps some ideas to make them quite a bit more exciting. So I'll share my screen again. Made that mistake before. Start talking, and then everyone's like, what? Right, can you see the big screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great. Okay, not the cluttered desktop with everything on it. Good. Okay, so one really good sort of way of getting a bit more interest and motion to just a still photo, if you like, is if you've got, I don't know if they have it on Androids, but if you, when you're shooting photos, always turn your iPhone onto live photo mode, then it sort of takes us, although you see a photo when you're looking at your screen, it sort of takes a very short clip of video, if you like, and then you can use that as a boomerang, which then causes a bit of movement, which can capture a bit more attention. So if I show you what I mean, if you upload a live video, you can then, so this is my selected kind of list. So these show that it's a live video. If I just play this again, where is it? So you can turn it into a boomerang by turning on the boomerang feature. And then there are actually different, like there's a slow-mo one, there's some weird echo one, there's a duo one, which sort of does it twice the speed. But quite often just the classic one, whereas that could be just a static still photo, it gives it a bit more notice before you even upload any text or anything over it. So that's quite a clever hack of getting, you know, capturing a bit more attention. Oh, what's going on? And then you can overlay the text or stickers over the top. And yes, I have done the dog because that's quite easy because I've got plenty of photos in my phone. But yeah, so that can add a bit more of an eye capture, just a little bit more movement where it's relevant, rather than having a full-on video that you needed. And then here are a few sort of eye-catching tips. So like I showed you how you can perhaps add GIFs and a bit of sparkle to stop the scroll. This is one low effort example that even I could do, whereby you upload kind of a photo with a coffee on, and then what you do is, and you get the idea, you can do this for similar sort of things. Let me press play. And so then I go into GIFs and I searched coffee top, and you can do it the other way around for steam, for example. And look, there I go. I've got top of coffee and it's moving. So it's like a static image, but it's got a bit of movement, and adds a bit more interest to your image. And then I can type away and it sort of stops the scroll a bit. And you could do it so that if you had a coffee on the side, you could do coffee steam. And so you can use like sparkles to highlight text and all sorts of different ways of perhaps having a bit of fun with GIFs to stop that scroll on perhaps a static image. If you're a bit more creative, Jan, oh, did you have a question?
Yeah. Was that your example with the coffee cup? Was that just a photo?
Yeah, it's just a photo. It's actually
Right.
a stock image. So it's a stock image.
Yeah.
And then because it's a nice white space, I could actually like write quite a lot here, like
Yes.
share my to-do list or ask a question, sticker, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's just a bit more eye capturing, isn't it, when someone's scrolling? Oh, and
Yeah.
it doesn't detract then from your perhaps message, but it adds a bit more
Yes.
sparkle. And then
Yeah.
you can get really creative. And these are two examples that actually I've stolen from TikTok of people sharing Instagram story hacks. But if you're creative, you can, Jan, if you're creative and you do have the time and don't want to use an outside app, because there are outside apps that do this sort of thing for you without too much
Right.
effort. So here's an example of how you might use GIFs a bit more. So we've got an Instagram post and they're searching for clouds. And they grab a couple of them, put the clouds behind, put it over the top, overlay it. And that really does draw attention to that Instagram post then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And actually, once you have an idea, that hasn't taken too long to do. But it just really, you know, when you're scrolling, that's going to draw attention to that post. And then, of course, you can overlay text and they can still click on this post to go through to the post. So, yeah, this is more for the artists. And I would not have the time or patience to do this. So they've got a post, they've actually put it at an angle, and then they've got some GIFs, and then they've drawn dots as a frame. So just full stops. Added. I do it so quickly. I'll play it again. And so that again stands out in the new on sharing a feed post more differently to how sort of everyone else does it in your feed. I'll play it again so you can see. They've basically used a GIF for these lines, the green, pink and orange ones. They've used a GIF for the sort of tap indicator over the top, and they've just used the type tool and done full stops, and then the type tool here for new post. Yeah,
very clever.
It is clever, and that's what I mean. Sometimes you've got time, you can be a bit more creative about it. Is it going to play it again? Come on, it's not going to play it again. Come on, there we are. So yeah, we've gone in, grabbed GIFs. I think this is sped up, to be fair, but shh. So rather than just whacking your feed post on, it just adds a bit more attention grabbing to it. So as people are going through, it works that way. So some tools to help you so you don't have to spend hours doing it in the app. You can use Canva. Canva has lots of templates already down the side that you can start with and can prompt you when you're really struggling for ideas. So like, that's not a great example, but all sorts of different ones. And again, if you want to use, before or after photos or a compilation of photos, sometimes this is a bit easier and you can make it more in line with your brand. So I think I just selected a few to show you, and then you can search. You can also use the search tool to see if it will come up with a template that's more along the lines of what you want to share. So like I just typed in list, and then you can get like, oh, what's your morning to-do list? Or you can have, so like this is one I used. So I obviously didn't share relationship goals, but I used the template, I changed it. I don't know if I show myself changing it, but I used that one where I basically then changed the background, changed the text, and just added my own list. I think I used that with the Instagram stories. So I put on a list of 10 Instagram story ideas. So you can sort of start with something. Yeah, I go back to this, look. You start with something and then you can go in, change it to your branding sort of thing. I got rid of the fluff for me. Changed the font to so what I wanted it to be. So it sort of gives you a starting point that then you can work with and create quite quickly without then having to spend hours doing it. And then I can just change my font to my fonts. I think I added a little graphic for the top, which is kind of, I think it's sped up. Don't know if it was in real time. And then what I did do is copy and paste here so that you don't watch me typing them all out. But then what you can do is you can share that and download it. So you download it from Canva. You can do it either as a PNG or a JPEG and upload it as a 7-second image. Or you can animate it, use the animate tool to animate some of the text or animate how it comes in. And then it makes it in, you can download it as a movie. So you're uploading it and it will stay there then longer because of course it's 15 seconds rather than 7 seconds. So that can be a really good kind of useful tool, particularly if you're planning ahead and want a bit more your branding. And sometimes some of this content like this, if you save it in a folder on a slow news day or a slow content week, you can reshare some of this stuff because it's evergreen and people won't remember. And it's in your feed. It's not on your feed, so it's not like repeating the same photo and over again, because they disappear after 24 hours unless you share it to highlights. So it can be quite useful sometimes just to have a couple of evergreen ones like this that you can reuse or adapt that work well for you, or set up some templates that you can quickly do this for. So yeah, so there's different ways that you can then make your stories that are, you know, and I like personally working on a desktop. For some reason my fat fingers don't do so well on a screen. You can check the spelling and everything as well, so sometimes using a tool like Canva can really help you. So yeah, basically all I did then was added in the text and animated it. There are, if you go into whatever device you've got, whether it's a Galaxy or Samsung, if you go into your app store and literally just type in Instagram story, you will find a number of apps that you can use or try.
Right.
Some are free, some have free trials to start with, and then either paid or paid subscription. There are lots of different ones that you can go in and have a look at that will help you create on the fly on your phone if you particularly out and about and want to whack together a story and you're not finding the Instagram app is designed enough for you and you haven't perhaps got, you know, the time and the patience for drawing lots of dots and finding lots of GIFs and that kind of thing. I would always say go in and have a look. If there's a free trial, try one at a time, do the free trial, and if you like it, great, then subscribe or then purchase. But try and pick the ones that have a free trial or free elements for you to go in and see if you like it first, because otherwise you can collect all these things and then forget they're on your phone and not use them, and you've paid a fortune.
Yes.
So InShot again will have stickers and things, which you've already got, Jan.
I do, yes, and I do like InShot actually.
Well, it's quite good for like speeding up video or slowing down video, isn't it? Which
it is, and for transitioning between photos. If you put a video together from like so many photos.
Yeah, you know, and sometimes you know, if you use the Instagram app to make your Instagram story video, you have got 15 seconds and like you have to retake it to get it within that 15 seconds, or it cuts it off to the next one.
Yeah.
So sometimes if you pre-record a video, you can then either trim it or cut it, or either end, can't you?
Yeah.
Or if you're not talking, at least speed it up.
Yeah.
Otherwise, go really fast. So yeah, so those are some sort of tips for eye-catching stories, if you like, to kind of add a bit of wow factor to stopping the good old scroll, as well as how to use some stickers. And then some of the tools that are really useful are some of these tools to help you drive sales from stories, if you like, and direct more to your website. Because of course, one of the big things with Instagram is there's only one link. And it's in your bio. So when you're doing an Instagram post, if you're trying to direct people to somewhere else, like your website, or a link to something else, that's quite tricky because you can type it into your caption, but no one can click on it. So they've either then got to go to the trouble of trying to use their fingers to copy and paste, remember it and type it out on their phone and browser, or you can say use link in bio, but then you only get one link. So you either then have to direct them to just your main website or one place all the time, or be constantly changing that. Or there are link in bio type tools where you can put, I think you use one of those, don't you, Jan?
Yes, I use Milkshake.
Milkshake, is that part of MailChimp, is it?
I don't know.
So
It's free.
Like, yeah, there's like link in bio, and some of the scheduling tools have built-in ones. So like Sprout Social has a built-in one, Later has a built-in one, for example, where you can then sort of select. So you can select buttons. Is that how yours works?
Yes.
So you can select buttons so that you can highlight your most important links. So like your shop or like your blog
right.
or an offer you've got going on. You can change them as you want.
Yeah.
And then directing them to other, like either your podcast or social media links, depending on what's relevant for you. And they can quite often be stylized and branded as well, can't they? So that you can make them look a bit more like.
Oh yes, they can. Yeah.
So they can work quite well. And then others sometimes work, like my one, which isn't perfect. My one works by actually, it will go to a link and then it'll open up and show all the posts that I've got that have got links, and you can click on the post and it will go to that specific link.
Oh, I see.
So some of them work in slightly different ways.
Yeah.
But the link sticker is really good because you can add any link, and it's now, because before you used to have 10,000 followers, didn't you? And then it used
yes, something ridiculous.
You get the swipe up feature in your Instagram stories, and that was the only way to add a link. Now they've opened it up to anyone so that anyone can add a link, and you can add any link, actually. It doesn't have to be to your website.
That's right.
Which can be quite useful, because if you're trying to raise funds for a charity or talking about something else that you want to share, then you can use the link sticker in different ways. And you can then write now as well, they didn't used to have this as well, you can now write the call to action, what you want them to do. And when they sort of hover over it, for safety, they will see where that's going to. So they're not clicking on God knows what.
Yes.
So at least there's a bit of savviness around it. But like, you can use this to drive to blog posts, to surveys, to mail list signups, to lead magnets, to particular product items. So even if you haven't managed to integrate a shop because of there are some restrictions on the shop, so like, for example, alcoholic products can't have a shop and tag their products in that way for obvious reasons, but they can then still use the link sticker to go to a product. They, like, for me, I can't sell events, I can't tag events as a product, and I can't tag software downloads or courses. You can't do anything digital, sell anything digital via Instagram in the same way either. So then again, stories are useful because you can still send the link, and you can still, like, I can use the call to action book now. And so like, these workshops obviously are run for NFBP, and so rather than sending to my website, I send them to their website for the sign up. So it makes it much easier. So you can use these then quite strategically within a story or an element of stories to add the call to action to win that sale, if you like, or direct them to somewhere that's going to help you move closer towards a sale of some kind. So that is a really useful tool, as we've said. And again, that will disappear after 24 hours, but you can add them to your highlights, which I'll talk about towards the end. So another useful tool, if you have a product shop that you've managed to integrate with Instagram and Facebook, which isn't always possible, like I've said, then you actually have a shopping tag sticker. So you can literally add a tag, and it will say, do you want to do the whole shop? So they just go to the whole shop, or do you want to tag the actual product? So if you're sharing then stories with the product in, or a review of a product, you can add the tag so that they can go directly to that product or your shop. So again, massive no-brainer to use these occasionally, and particularly perhaps in your highlights that you save. And then also you have a countdown sticker, which can be useful because you can, and you might find this, Helen, useful particularly with Forest Forge, like countdown to tickets going on sale, or countdown to a particular event. And of course, product-based business can use it like with a new product reveal or a new range. I could use it for like countdown to a workshop type thing, or launch of my course, or things like that. And people then can tap to set the alarm, if you like, and they'll get a notification if their notifications are turned on then that so-and-so's whatever countdown is now happening. And ideally you'd follow it up at that time with a story that allows them to then do whatever it is that you wanted them to do, whether it's talking about the new product, whether it's adding the link to the ticket sales or at the course opening, all those kind of things. So they're really useful. And then also quite new is a kind of like an event sticker. So you can, from your feed, in any feed post, and I use this with workshops quite often, in any event you've got coming up, whether it's a launch or a big event, you can add within the feed post now, there's an option to tag it with a schedule. So you can schedule an event. And if you've scheduled an event on one feed post, whilst that event is still leading up to that time frame, you'll then get a scheduled sticker in your story. So you can then use that same event reminder in stories as you lead up to that event. And if they click on remind me, it will remind them to that event is starting or happening, or the launch is about to kick off. So I made this little video a couple of weeks, well, last week maybe. So I did a little face on video and then added relevant stickers over the top. So I added the remind me sticker. I tagged New Forest BP, so that also meant if they wanted to, they could share it because it's obviously their event. And then a book now sticker as well. So if people hadn't already booked on, they could book it.
There's over 5 million stories published daily on Instagram. Are you using them strategically for business? To get some help with this, I'm running a workshop on Thursday and just wanted to remind you.
Within the 15 seconds, just. So yeah, so you can use them. Unlike if you get into doing live, some people do Instagram lives for their audience. You can then remind people that it's coming up, because that's the best way of doing lives, is to actually tell people you're doing them first, tell them when you're doing them and remind them that you're doing them.
Yeah.
And ideally get a notification when you're going live so that people actually turn up. But there you go. So you do actually need to have it already scheduled within, you either need to have a live scheduled, which is a feature you can use with lives, or you have to have added the feed post first that has that reminder. And you can have more than one, and it will give you a selection tool if you've got lots of events coming up. But it does make kind of promotion of a particular event or launch a lot more seamless. So that's quite useful for different businesses. So then kind of drawing it all together, ideally, not possible every day, because you know, we're all busy, but ideally the story should have a plan to them. They should have a flow through the day of a beginning, middle and an end. So if you're using them strategically, you should really have a goal for them for your business. So for example, are you looking to generate sales? Are you planning to generate brand awareness? Are you focusing on growing your followers or generating more engagement? And if you know what you're planning on doing with your Instagram story for any particular day or particular week, then you can actually think about the content that you're going to make to make it more effective. Easier said than done quite often. And unless you're sort of showcasing an event that you're at, then kind of an ideal sequence length throughout the day for that beginning, middle and end is 3 to 7 posts. Because let's be honest, if there are some people that have shared like 20 plus stories in a day, and like you get bored, don't you? Let's be honest, you're only going to click through so many. So even when an event, if you're not kind of covering the event and you're actually attending the event, you could, for example, show the first picture of you at the front of the venue with all the signage for the event, showing that you're there, kind of thing. And then you could have a short clip of video of the presenter at the event speaking, or just a showcase of the networking event. And then you could add another photo, for example, of the tables or the decor, if it's that kind of thing, or a video of somebody there having a sound bite of the event, and then a selfie photo with perhaps people at the event, and then a key kind of text post wrapping up your takeaways of the event and your thoughts of the event. And that would be about 7 posts. So you can kind of show how that would bring together kind of a highlight of the event that you're at for your audience. If you want to have a bit more fun, but still, I think illustrates it very well. The dog had this on his stories the other day, but it sort of showcases it in a fun way of how you can bring together a couple of pictures and elements to tell a kind of story and build up to perhaps a call to action for increasing engagement. So Beans did, who would win in a fight, a duck or a seagull? Because he's got a duck and he's got a seagull toy. Well, he had a duck. So this is my duck. So the first picture is just a little bit of an introduction, and then it clicks through to, this is Steve Seagull. And then, that's my fault. I back clicked on recording. And then, so then you can have, who do you think would win in a fight? So if I go back, who do you think would win in a fight? And people can easily tap, Ducky or Stephen, and then the results of the fight, you can see Ducky died. So so you can see how you can sort of build up that engagement. So a little bit of fun before, a little bit of introduction to the story, then engaging question, and then perhaps the results of that poll. But you can see how you can perhaps use it rather than just one static post or lots of random bits to build up stories in that way. Here's an example of one I did. So I did the reaction sticker with anybody need a list of Instagram story ideas for inspo. So then if people tap it, it goes up like that so they can see. And then my second one was, here you go, here are some ideas, because you put your hand up. And then also then
daily on it.
Following up with, if you want to know more, if you want help with Instagram stories, is a reminder to the next workshop, or you can book. So you can see how you might then sort of build the stories that you're using in a day around a theme rather than just lots of random bits. And sometimes it is nice, particularly if you are doing something more behind the scenes, to just share a bit of yourself, behind the day. But you don't want to do that every day, because why are they then going to watch your story, especially if you have the same day every day? So some, like, I think yesterday my stories weren't that strategic because I was out and about, but that's quite nice because I shared that I was at the networking group, which then promoted that business, and then I shared that I was working one-to-one with a business, and then I just shared myself because I've been out all day in the sea swimming. So it kind of, but not all of my stories will be like that. Some of them will be a bit more strategic, but it just gives a bit of a flavour about what I'm up to at the same time promoting perhaps some businesses that I'm either working with or not. So great, thinking about it a bit more strategically, planning it through. Where on earth do you do that if you want to do your planning? Because stories are kind of in the moment, aren't they? So unless you've done them in Canva, if you wanted to use Instagram itself, how do you then do that so that you don't end up with like 7 stories all going out at the same time? You want to drip feed them perhaps throughout the day. You can use your drafts. So you can actually start the process like we showed you how to make a story, and then rather than clicking to post, you can go to come out and it will say, do you want to discard this or do you want to save to drafts? And you can save to drafts, so you can save a number of stories actually in your phone, And then when you come to the stories, they'll be in drafts and you can select between them. So that will.
Does it
7
always
days.
ask you?
I think so. I'm just going to do a story now. So if I now, and then go to exit. Yeah, so if you do the back button to exit, you get discard, save draft, cancel.
Oh, so if I put up, say I selected an image and just put one on my phone as a story.
Yeah, let me share it so that I can show you. Right, let me. You see my phone?
Yeah.
So like this really good story, this really high quality story that I've just made.
Yes. Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
That one that I want to use later.
Yeah.
So I can even start typing over it and stuff as well. And actually start doing all that faffing around.
Yeah.
So like you can do this for like 10 minutes in the morning, get them all lined up and then queue them out for the day. So I can discard this. I can save it in the draft, or I can
did you just
go back
click
to it.
the back arrow?
Yeah. So I click the back arrow at the top.
Yeah.
Very top left hand of the screen.
Yeah.
Discard will completely come out of stories, and cancel will take me back to stories to start again.
Yeah.
Or take me back to that story to carry on with that lovely story.
Right.
But if I go save draft,
yeah,
it saves it to my drafts. And if I want to access that, whenever I come back to do another story, look,
it's there.
It's there. It's in drafts 1, and it will save it for 7 days.
Oh, brilliant. Okay.
So that's a really useful tool, which I hadn't thought about until I started teaching this.
Yeah, no, I didn't even know you could do that.
So now I've got that wonderful story saved. I can select it and start again. I can carry on. I can either post it straight away, which I won't do, or I can add more sparkle to it. I did find it was a bit glitchy with adding, I think it was a link. If I pre-added a link, it was a bit glitchy and I had to delete it and start again when I went to post it. But everything else seemed to work well.
Right. Okay.
But whatever you do, if you've got things saved in your draft, do not log out of Instagram.
Right.
You lose your drafts.
Oh, right.
Okay.
When you log back in.
Yeah.
You can come out of Instagram, but you can't log out.
Okay.
So yeah, keep draft. I think I'll delete it.
Yeah, no, delete that one.
So yeah.
Sorry, can I ask as well, when you do things like the questions and the polls, obviously people are responding to that. Where do you find that information?
It actually comes up in your notifications. I haven't got one live, but it will be.
So every
in
time somebody comments, you get it. But it doesn't take you, like Google Forms. It doesn't create something for you.
No.
So you have
I'm
to
just trying to think
manually.
if it's in Insights, whether it shows it later. I think you have to look at them within the 24 hours. Otherwise they disappear. Let's have a look. I've got a feeling you need to check the answers before the story disappears.
Right.
So this one, where was the poll one? Oh, it was Beans, wasn't it? And he went up being Insights. When did I last ask a question? Yeah, see, it's not showing the question from. Yeah, I believe you have to check the answers within 24 hours because you can't see the responses, I don't think, afterwards. No, but they will be. So you need to make a note of when you started that story.
Yeah.
Make sure you go back in and check all the responses before it disappears, because your responses will potentially disappear as well. Yeah.
Right.
You can always take screenshots.
Yeah.
You need to show other people.
I'm sure that will come within time if they're setting out polls and questions.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll come up with something where you can record it, because if you're a massive business and you're using it for that, then handwriting out all the responses isn't very practical, is it?
No.
Interesting.
Screenshots would help with that, at least give you a recording of it. So can we see my screen again? Sorry.
Yes.
So there are scheduling tools that actually now allow you to schedule stories, whether they don't necessarily have the interactive elements. So you can't necessarily, and I'm not sure how many of them will auto post, if they do indeed auto post any of them. So like Sprout Social, which I use, which I haven't added to the list because it's quite prohibitive as a small business in terms of costs.
Right.
I can plan them and have like my links and stuff ready, but I get a notification to post. So it comes up and then I have to manually, it sort of sends me the picture. It sends me the picture or the graphic that I've made or the video that I've made. And if I've added a link, it will copy that for me, or I can add some text that it will copy for me, but I can't then separate out the link and the text. So I have to choose one or the other. And then I've got all of that ready to go to post. So then I can upload my picture, add a bit of text if I want to, and add the link, for example, or just post the graphic or the video as it is. So a lot of these I think will work on a sort of notification basis, but at least it allows you to sort of plan it out. You get the notification that you need to post it, half of the work is done for you, and then you just zhuzh it a bit or add a bit, like a link or a interaction sticker, and off you go. I'm not sure if any of them will auto post, and if they do auto post, I don't think they'll have those interactive elements, which is what makes Instagram stories so good. But at least it gives you that kind of starting point, gives you time and space to think about it. And even if you need to write some notes that say, this was my idea a week ago when I planned this, you can do so when you're like, what's this picture and why am I sending that? So that helps. And of course, they then allow you to schedule all sorts of social media. So some of them have built-in tools. So the one thing I've been sort of banging on about a little bit and haven't actually told you how to do it is the highlights and how to make stories last longer than 24 hours. So highlights are basically a collection of Instagram stories that you've chosen to keep in a category, and you can choose that category and that collection and how they work. And they're quite good because if someone's discovered you and is thinking about following you and they've visited your profile, they are here right at the top, even before your grid. And so they show up here, and right below kind of your bio and your link are the story highlights. So they're front and center. And so they can be a really good indicator of kind of what you do and what your business is all about straight away, so that people know whether or not to follow you. So, workshops, freebies, services, those kind of things are useful for me, because if people are coming to my profile, they can see not just from my bio, but a little bit more about what my business is about. So, and unlike then the Instagram stories, if you add an Instagram story, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute, Helen, if you add a story that's live to a highlight, it won't just, they'll stay in the highlights. They'll disappear off your story feed, but they'll stay in the highlight for as long as you like until you basically remove them. So they'll live there permanently until you go in and remove them. So you can certainly spend some time planning about how you might use highlights really effectively to showcase your business, and consider what categories you want here. I think I'm in the process of perhaps workshops is staying, reels will stay, freebies will stay, but I think some of the others I'm in the process of perhaps rethinking myself, along with my bio, having a bit of a work over. Right. But, so you can think about, so you see 5 at a glance, but you can actually swipe. So you can add more. And apparently you can have an unlimited amount, but I don't know how many people would scroll through before they get bored.
How do you, because I've just looked on mine. Yeah. And I've got some really old stuff in stories.
Yeah, like I used to have some old websites.
Like 9 weeks ago.
Yeah, I'll show you in a sec, because I'll delete this workshop in a minute.
Okay. That'd be brilliant. I've got loads of other old stuff too in there. So.
And you can, I don't know who would watch them, but you can have 100 clips in each highlight. So you can have an unlimited amount of highlights and you can have 100 clips, but I can't think why you would have that. Now, the thing with these is they will reorder these highlights. So my workshops won't stay at the front of my 5 highlights or longer than 5 highlights.
Does that depend on who clicks on them?
No, it depends on what I post, what I save to next. So if I now save today a story to freebies, freebies will come to the front.
Right, I'm with you.
So it's whatever is the most recent, which is why perhaps really think your categories, because how many people are going to swipe through different things. So if you've got 5, you can limit it to 5, they're going to see all 5, aren't they?
Yes, yeah. That's good.
Equally, I can't order as I add, so it shows the oldest story first.
Yes.
In your highlight, and then the new ones will add on after. You can't reorder those.
Right, that's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, so you have to think about when you're adding them. So like if I'm doing websites and I want to say showcase my website design, it's going to come up with the oldest design first. So then you need to think about, as you're adding them, do I want to remove some of the older ones so that they actually be the newer ones? Because ideally my newer work will be fresher and better. So so you do need to, and like I went to show someone how someone else used highlights really well the other day and then found they had all of June's events still there and was like, oh right, that doesn't work, does it? No. So you do kind of need to remember to go in and check them.
Yes, I'm very poor at that. I'm very poor at managing.
Well, it's one of those things that, like me, I know I need to do my bio. I need to relook at my bio, but it's one of those things, it's time, isn't it? You know, so and you can, and I'll show you how in a minute. You can also, because it will show, you can brand these, so you can upload a cover for your highlights so that they sort of look in line with your business, rather than it just being a snapshot of part of the story. So you can get a good look here. So here are a couple of examples of how you might want to think about using them. So this was the one I actually showed someone else. I clicked on the brewery company and showed the events. Oh yeah. And they were all June. I was like, well, it's now July, so that's not overly a great example. But so, and then I did notice later that day, because of course I'd clicked on them, so they came to the forefront of my stories. Yes, they were starting to upload their July ones, but it is like mid-July anyway. Yes.
So anyway, within there a month before.
Yeah. So you can see how, depending on what your business is or what your group is, how you might use them slightly differently, and have a bit of a thought process about your categories. But you can highlight, you know, products or collections. You can highlight tutorials or how-tos. You could highlight some user-generated content, so like people have shared with you, like reviews or testimonials or those kind of things. Or you can highlight your events. So there's different ways. So this is a service-based industry, and this is a product-based industry. So different people can use them in different ways. And if you go and have a look at some people don't use them at all. They haven't yet worked out how to do it. Some people use them really well. Other people haven't quite grasped how to use them. So you can sit down and have a little brainstorm. It's worth doing that for 10 minutes to think about, is that, you know, what's the most useful way of you organizing those? Yes. So I will now go back to my phone so that I'll show you how to do that. And then if you've got any questions, you can equally add those on top. So let me find share phone, share. Okay, can we see my phone?
Yep. Yeah.
So I've got, haven't I, on mine, so workshops. So I can click through, and this is obviously one that today, if I press to hold, it will stay there. This one is obviously now no use to anyone because it started a while ago. Yeah. And they can't book on. No. So I now need to remove this. Yeah. Because, well, if I don't, people are going to be like, well, that was last week.
Yeah.
I want to see what workshops you've got coming up, what not we did last week. So all I go, you can see the 3 dots at the bottom. Where it says more.
So you click on the one.
Click on the one I want. And can you see where it says more? At the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It says boost and more at the bottom. If I click on it.
Yeah.
In the black. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I just remove from highlight. And it says, do you really want to remove the video from the highlight? Huh?
Can you just go back a screen?
Yeah. Yeah. So I've
Click
got
on
boost
more.
and more at the bottom. I click on more.
Yeah.
I've got all these different elements that I can do. I can send to someone if someone's asked, or share to something else if I want to. I can copy the highlight link if I want to share the link with someone in an email. Don't know why I wouldn't just send them the link, but I can convert my highlights to a reel if I really want to, like if I had like a portfolio, for example, and before I deleted some off and added some new, wanted to convert that to a reel as a showcase of like last month's work.
Yes.
I could make that into a reel, and it would just make it into a reel for me, and I could, you know, going through them all automatically. I haven't done that, but you could, depending on what your highlights show. I don't know what happens if you go edit. Oh yeah, so I can unselect them that way, or you can't move them around, but yeah. And I can edit my cover here as well. So here is edit cover.
Oh yes. So
that's
in edit.
So you can do it a couple of ways. You can either come in to edit the highlight.
Yeah.
So here on edit highlight, I can edit the cover, and I can either choose an image from one of the 3 stories that I've got there, or I can upload, so that sort of square gallery picture to the left at the bottom.
Oh yeah.
Is the button here. I can't show it, can I? But to the left of my face.
Yeah, is that where you search your photos?
The little face at the bottom is where I can click on that button there, and that takes me to my camera roll. So I can upload any image that I want there. And of course you can pinch and zoom to, like if I wanted the flowers, for example. It's not relevant to me, but if I wanted, so you can make graphics or use a screenshot or something that way. Yeah, I'm going to come out of that. But if I go done and then come back here, I can go remove from highlight, and that is going to now double check that I actually want to do it. Yeah, and then I remove, and so now I've only got 2 stories in there at the moment, because we're obviously breaking over August, where everyone goes on holiday and can't turn up. So that's how you would remove it. So yeah. So
and then can I, when you've got your workshops written underneath that highlight, how do you write that in?
Good question. And you do have to be quite succinct, because it will cut them off otherwise.
Right, okay.
So like if I should say to them really, but New Forest Tea Company, like, can you see? Doesn't help. Where to
oh yes, where to and leave note.
Yeah. So it'd be better if it was like buy, shop.
Yes.
So, you know what I mean? So you do have to be quite succinct.
Yes. I think you should tell them.
Change that, what you would do is you would click on any highlight. So say my services one. Needs a proper going over. You go down to the 3 dots.
Oh yeah.
Edit highlight. Then where is it? So oh yes, because it says services. So where it says name, that is where you change that. You just delete it, type it in.
Yeah. Okay. That's
and then when you go back, you can see if it's cut off.
Yeah.
Whether you have to reduce it to less letters. I don't know what the count is, but
okay.
I probably could work it out, couldn't I? But so like I've got FB group in there with a space. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yes.
Yeah. A reel's ready is the longest one, isn't it?
It is.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
11,
9, 10,
12.
11, 12. So you can get 12 in.
Yeah.
12 characters in.
So that's quite good, isn't it?
Yeah, that's quite, I mean, that's a fair amount, to be fair. So yeah, so, and hopefully like with some of them, your icon or your graphic can also indicate, like they use with their events, they use like
exactly. Yeah.
So it's just perhaps being a bit clever about, so that like, this is my old work. See, I need to have a look at this. These are years, like 99 weeks, look at the top.
Oh yeah, I think that needs to go back.
Yeah. I need to add others. Do you know what I mean? So
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, guilty as charged like everyone else.
But you know, I look at all my stuff and I think, oh my goodness. And it's time, isn't it?
It is time. And sometimes just sitting down for half an hour once a month and thinking,
just
do I need to do anything?
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah. We got any questions?
Sometimes 4 hours just goes by. How does that happen? Yeah.
That's it.
It's not completely related to this, but I'm intrigued as how do you build a following on Instagram? I mean, I know on Facebook you can kind of go out and find your audience, and there are audience groups, and you can join those groups and target them. How do you do that? That's the bit I don't quite understand about Instagram.
So there's a couple of ways. First of all, by creating good content that the audience love, that they engage with, then means your stuff gets shown to more likely in discovery to people who aren't yet following you.
Yeah.
That's harder to do with your feed posts. Your stories perhaps are more likely to go to people that you don't follow and be seen by people that you don't follow. Your feed can go into discovery, but that's quite competitive. Hashtags are still quite useful because people follow hashtags, and you can go in and look at certain hashtags and follow certain hashtags. So if I just bring this back up, so for example, it's, whereabouts are you, Helen? Hive.
Yeah.
So even if you went in and looked at the hash, oh, you're not seeing my screen, are you?
No, I've got on your iPhone or iPad.
Yeah.
Here we go. So if you go in and put the hashtag Hive, there are actually 93.6 thousand posts with the hashtag Hive, and some of them won't be relevant to you, but you can follow the
Hive in
hashtag.
Kent.
Yes, that's the other thing. But you could follow the hashtag Hive, because I follow like my local hashtag, and that's been particularly where I've relocated really useful to me. So I follow hashtag Glenlethy, which is literally the town here, and then I follow hashtag Carmarthen, which is the bigger town. And then in my feed come up some posts sometimes for the town that help me discover new people. And I can come and look at all the posts that are Hive. So hashtags might be one way of doing it. So they've got Hive Kent, Hive High Street, Hive Beach, for example. Hive Marina, if you probably put Hive Marina, which is more relevant to where you are, I'm guessing. Hive Marina, there's over 1,000 posts. So you can find people that way. And some of them will just be people like this in particular, like the dogs on a day out. That's not useful to you, but you might find some new people that way. And they might find you that way by using hashtags. So that's one way. What else? So the other way is you can literally use search now. So even if I just put in Hive without the hashtag, it comes up with all sorts of suggestions. That's probably not relevant to you. And then even, so you can do top, but you can also do accounts. So people with the word Hive in, for example. So you might find people that way. Tags, and then the location as well. So Hive Southampton, United Kingdom. I've got the top post and the recent post. And again, it's a bit of trawling through to see what might be relevant every now and then. But that's some ways. And then the big push at the moment is Instagram Reels. And Instagram Reels, if you're making videos, via the Reels, will go to anyone and everyone. And you'll get more views and people are more likely to follow you because they've seen you through a reel, if it's relevant, and particularly if you're wanting local people, you can use the location tag, for example. And people are more likely to see a reel that way. And when you share a reel, you can, so let's just do blah, 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 blah. You can when you can also share it to your feed. Right. But I think if you're trying to reach people that aren't already following you, it's often best, and not necessarily do this for all your reels, but untick that. If it's a reel that's relevant to you, so I'm just going to shut my door, the dog's opened it. If you're trying to reach people that aren't already following you, think about the content of your reel that's going to help people engage and come back to your profile. Don't tick the box also share to feed, because then you know it's going to people that aren't necessarily in your feed, following your grid. It will be shown to them, particularly if they engage and interact with you anyway, but it won't be the first people that it gets shown to. If it's the kind of reel that is made more for your immediate audience, then always share it to your feed, and then it will get also shown to other people. So reels is certainly the way to grow and reach new audiences on Instagram at the moment, but it can be a bit tricky, obviously, to create reels and use them in that way. Because that's what's getting pushed out at the moment as content.
Okay, brilliant, thank you.
So yeah. Any more questions before we go?
No, I've just seen the time, Beckett, and I've got to go. I've got the dump booked, you know, the recycling centre booked. Yeah. I've got a car full of rubbish.
Nice.
Well, right. It's quite a satisfying feeling.
It is very cleansing. Literally.
It is, yeah. So that's my task, and it's booked in Andover, so I'm going to have to go.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you so much for this morning.
That's all right. And Helen, if you've got any questions, just ping them across to me and I can answer them if you've got anything.
No, thank you. It's been very useful as an overview. I need to go and play now.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yes.
That's the thing. And now you've got lots of different ways of using them and examples to use them, and also thinking about how you might want to use them a bit more strategically. But again, have a play first. Don't worry too much about it. They just came after 24 hours.
I sort of started using it a bit when it first came out, but I didn't really need to use it, and it's grown since then. And then it's like, I haven't got time to sit down and work all of this out. So this is perfect. It's like it's a
snapshot of what you can do, so that you can see what you want to play with.
Yeah. And also you can share your reels to Facebook, can't you?
Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't let them go because of the music, but yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, don't talk about music.
Yeah.
Right. And Becky, I'll be in touch.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
See you both later. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.